It was an animal attack, spin-off episode selected.
Cole and Finn are like the extras, you know, they're the members of the boy band who are always swaying in the back. They don't get like the cool harmonies or the high notes, but they're there, and you know you couldn't do it without them.
What's that Turning Red joke? They're Tyler J and Tyler H or whatever it is.
Yes! I'm glad you made the, what are they called? Four Town reference, so that we don't have to harm any real celebrities.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm not touching that. Also, frankly, I was a little, only slightly young for the NSYNC Backstreet Boys era of boy bands, and I guess One Direction.
Yeah, I won't speak on One Direction because I know that's a little too close to home for some people.
That's true. But that was more current.
But even in girl groups. But no, in the 90s, the boy bands from back then and then like into the early 2000s, I also wasn't really cognizant of what was going on there. I learned most of what I know about NSYNC in retrospect. So obviously Justin Timberlake's the most famous one. I know Nick Carter is the older brother of Aaron Carter, R.I.P.
R.I.P.
And then there's Lance Bass, who was the one who came out after the fact. The others I don't know.
I don't know. And the other group, I don't know entirely. There's a Joey Fatone. I'm not sure which group he's in.
Oh, I fully used to conflate the Backstreet Boys with NSYNC all the time.
Right.
And sometimes even Westlife, who aren't American.
Westlife! Remember them? Oh my god. Suddenly we're getting thrown back. Westlife I knew at least like 4 or 5 songs. And no shade to One Direction. I did know a lot of the One Direction singles off by heart, but I was never a huge like fan. And also I was always a little bitter that The Wanted, who in my opinion, well, not in my opinion, it's not a thing to have an opinion on. The Wanted were more my speed, but they didn't last as long. I guess they just didn't have the same star power. So I was always just like, damn, I wish they'd made it big.
You know, I was fully a Directioner. They were like this promise that was not fulfilled about like a new boy band era. We had like Big Time Rush, I guess, of Nickelodeon fame, and Union J, which was like One Direction light.
Never heard of them.
Who had a gay member. I only know them because they were mentioned in this movie that Chloe Grace Moretz was in. I can't remember what the film was.
Was it that one where she's a classical musician and she starts dating a boy band guy? No?
No. I think she was a new girl at some... Oh, it might have been Kick-Ass 2.
Oh, wow.
It might have been Kick-Ass 2. She's a girl who's weird and is trying to be normal, and the girls at her school are like, you should listen to Union J. I fully assumed it was a fictional band created to be like a pastiche of One Direction. Googled them and found out they were real.
Wow.
They had apparently also been in like X Factor or Britain's Got Talent or something. They were put together as a trio which was called Triple J. Then a fourth member joined, so then they had to change it to Union J, even though his name starts with a G not a J.
Oh no! Forever marked as the new kid, as the outlier.
There were also the Vamps. Don't know where they've gone.
I know the Vamps.
I don't count 5 Seconds of Summer because they do play their own instruments. So I'm like, they had boy band energy, but they're technically a band.
They're a boy band that's masquerading as like a rock band. So I'm like, I do count them. No shade to anybody who's their fan. The Vamps are more like indie alternative. I've heard like 1 or 2 songs by them. They're also fairly good.
I quite liked the Vamps, yeah.
Yeah.
And not just because of the name.
It is very on brand. Speaking of which, getting off this boy band
Speaking of which, looping it back around to the originals. So we also see in that flashback that's when Michael showed up doing his American accent, Chicago PD. But we don't know who he is at this point.
I'm looking for these people.
I think his is better than Klaus's.
Oh, certainly, because I think Sebastian Roche has a bit of an American accent, as I understand it.
I've only ever seen him in like 2 other roles. Well, one is pretty big, but it's in a show that I wasn't watching. My mother was watching. Fringe.
Oh, he's in Fringe. Cool.
Yeah, he was in a season that must have come out before The Vampire Diaries. Just based on how old he looks. And then he had a small role as King Stefan in Once Upon a Time.
What?
Sleeping Beauty's dad. Yeah?
Sebastian Roche?
Yes.
Now I have to look this up because I don't remember that.
I don't think we ever see her mother, who in this story is known by Briar Rose, which is another Sleeping Beauty story, rather than Princess Leia or Leia as she is in Disney canon, but he's still Stefan or Stefan, which is funny because he was in The Vampire Diaries.
Right. That's crazy.
I think he has like 1 scene.
Okay. I googled Sebastian, Once Upon a Time Sebastian, and Sebastian Stan came up, and you forget that Sebastian Stan was the Mad Hatter in Once Upon a Time.
What?
And now he's like, did you not know that?
I didn't.
He's the Mad
Sebastian
Hatter.
is everywhere. He was in Gossip Girl.
Yeah.
For a good time as well.
He was like you would see him in places. He was doing like character actor work. He'd be in like a part that was like maybe a little bit recurring. He was like active in the early 2010s and then shot up with Winter Soldier. And it's like crazy to think of all the little roles he's played over the time. He was in this show called Political Animals, where he was playing the son of the former president who was now ending his term, but his mother was now running for president. It was a very Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, but in the late 2000s kind of vibe. Sigourney Weaver was his mother, and he was the gay second son of the first family.
Sigourney Weaver, why do you always have a gay son?
Right? She treated this one well, so, you know, I guess that's something.
Damn.
She didn't have to pray for him after he was dead.
Damn. I thought you hadn't seen that movie.
I haven't. I just know the gist of it.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, he's in that, and he's so much fun. He's honestly one of the most, like, holding his own against Kieran Hines and Sigourney Weaver, who are such brilliant, like, storied actors. Kieran Hines, who plays Mance Rayder in...
Him, yes.
What's it called? Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, yeah.
Yeah. And James Wolk, who's also, like, been a little bit younger than the others, but been in a number of things in the 2000s and the 2010s. Just so good, and very much getting his flowers now as, like, an acclaimed actor.
Look at you go. That's why I'm like, don't fumble that MCU bag,
you know?
actors. Some of you might think it's camp and silly, but it gets your name out there.
It gets you out there, and now he can do a bunch of, like, prestige films, and now he can play Donald Trump in a weird biopic. Like...
He's gonna play Donald Trump?
Have you not seen that? Yeah, he's playing Donald Trump in a Donald Trump biopic that I believe is meant to be scathing.
Don't make Donald cute.
No, so that's the thing, is that unfortunately Sebastian Stan is incredibly attractive. So they've got him in that wig, and it's like, I think it still kind of works.
He was also in that homoerotic Warlock movie that we watched.
A lot of Sebastian Stan's roles have very gay energy when he's not explicitly playing gay, which he does often.
I'm starting to see why all the Steve and Bucky nonsense exists.
Oh yeah. And also because, you may not be aware of this, the character he plays, the Bucky that exists in the MCU canon, is only in physicality and name based on Bucky of the comics. He's really... what's his name? Captain America's best friend in the early comics, who was gay, in fact.
Oh.
It's kind of drawing on that. I forget his name. He's such an important character because of, like, he was gay in those comics, but, like, it's something that had to be, like, swept under the rug because of the nature of American society and the comics code and all of that.
Oh, wow. I know there was a Howling Commando who was gay, but obviously that was part of a group.
I just need to find this because I will not forgive myself if I talk about him and not honor
Captain
his
America
name.
gay friend. It's just going to show you Bucky.
Arnie Roth, that's his name.
Arnie Roth.
He's Steve Rogers' childhood friend. That scene in the first Captain America movie where Bucky jumps in front of some asshole who's trying to, like, beat up Steve, and he's the one who does the fight. In the comics, that is Arnie Roth.
Oh.
That scene is fully lifted from the comics, and it's a different guy who does that, and it's Captain America's gay friend.
Okay.
And that whole vibe of Bucky in the early movie being this, like, womanizer, is like with all the ladies, and Steve is this, like, kind of meek friend. That's because Arnie was gay and trying to sublimate that. So Arnie Roth is a very important character in the history of comics in general because, again, that had to be swept away, but also because Bucky Barnes pulls heavily from that character, and that's why their relationship feels very gay.
Okay.
Do you know Cheska Lee? Franchesca Ramsey. She was Cheska Lee on YouTube, and she's on TikTok now. And she's written a bunch of stuff. She wrote for the revival of iCarly, I believe.
I do not know her.
Okay, well, she's great. But she has this song that she will do on
is it
TikTok.
that black woman? Yes, I know her from. Sorry, the only two times I've seen her. What was the? Oh yes. It was last year. Candace Owens' fall from grace in terms of her own side, no longer liking her. She sang one for that one. I like that she changes the lyrics every time,
which is so like the creative power to just be like, everyone will be a different verse to suit this specific situation. Of, well, the song she sings is "I never thought the leopards would eat my face."
The leopards would eat my face. Yes. So for Candace, I think she said, "I turned my back on my own kind and I somehow thought that I'd be fine. I never thought the leopards would eat my face. The other one was when that white woman just decided she was going to grift and lean into the alt-right neo-Nazi nonsense on TikTok and Twitter. And then she summoned, it's like someone who conjures a demon they can't control. You love to see it. She summoned these people who were then like, okay, gonna do full like background checks on your social media history. Why does your nose look bigger in the past? Did you get a nose job? That means you're Jewish.
Yeah.
We're anti-Semitic. She's not even Jewish, but they just decided she was Jewish.
Right.
They're anti-Semitic. They found a picture of her child who looks a little Asian and decided he's impure. You opened your legs to some man of color, you dirty harlot. And now I'm like, well, look what you did.
Right.
Look what you did. You didn't need to do this.
Oh, God.
And she refused to back down.
After that?
Yeah, she
Crazy.
kept going, I'm not Jewish, actually, and
I am white and pure.
And they just don't believe her. They decided that she's lying, and all the people who are on the opposite end of the spectrum are like, girl, look at the energy you invited into your life. I feel sorry for your child.
For.
Your child who is now having paper bag tests performed on his like features because you opened him up to neo-Nazis. And this is a baby. Like, what the hell? And when Francesca sang for her, the verse was, we bonded over bigotry, but you weren't supposed to turn on me.
Most recently, there's this farmer man from the southern US who's been complaining at length on TikTok about some sort of law or subsidy or regulation that was put in place in the prior administration. Basically, it linked the number of like people with farms and stuff. That was like a collective thing where it would help benefit them all in some way. And he wasn't into that because that's socialist commie nonsense. And so then now it got repealed under the Trump administration, and benefits he was experiencing that he didn't realize were connected to that were being rolled back. And so now he's on TikTok ranting about it. And Francesca got a choir, and I love that it's all black people too. Got a choir of people to back her up. She's dressed in this long, beautiful dress. She's got her little ukulele, which I think that's where it started. It started with the what's her name? Ukulele lady who had to apologize. Colleen.
Was she making fun of
Colleen Ballinger?
Dungas?
Yes. I think that's the reason why the ukulele got incorporated. So she's in this long, beautiful dress.
The toxic gossip train.
Playing it, going, I never thought the leopards would eat my face. Choir backing her up. And I was like, you know what? The world is burning, but this is a beautiful piece of the apotheosis, I think. I think this I'm enjoying.
I love it. She had a choir. Season finale.
Exactly.
She brought in a choir to back her up.
It felt like a season 3 callback to a season 1 joke. And then like elevated. It was so good.
He's like, now I want the girl on the count of 3 or heads will roll. Do we understand each other? And again, heads will roll. I'm like, this is his signature move.
He was there in the 90s. Off with the heads.
I always think of Glee when I think of that song because of the mashup with Thriller.
I do not remember it. I always think of it's either a Vine or a YouTube edit. I can't remember. That uses that sampled version, not the original version. That's like a club dance song.
I think it was in season 3 when, weirdly, I mean, I've never gone to an American high school. I don't know if this happens with high school football, but there's a halftime show during the high school football match. And so they enlist the Glee Club to perform with the football players, like in full zombie makeup. And then they keep the makeup on when they finish the rest of the game.
Weird. Okay. I think typically it's the cheerleaders who do that. Maybe they just made an exception. Doubt the Cheerios were happy about that.
Glee is an insane universe. So, anything goes there, quite frankly. And Elijah's like, cool, does anyone else know you're here? A question you should never answer with no.
I've actually told 1,000 people I'm here, and they're all around the corner waiting for me so that I can get home safely.
You gotta lie. You gotta lie. There's a thing Jessica Jones does in the Netflix Jessica Jones series. It's the episode in season 1 where that lady decides to kill her because she's a powered person and powered people are all to blame, yada, yada, yada. She's like, how many of you are there? And once Jessica has pretty easily defeated her and her husband, she says, by the way, there's 99 of us. The last time I counted, there were 99 powered people in this borough alone. And they really hate criminals who do things like attempted murder. And I'm going to tell all of them what you did. Mind you, Jessica doesn't have 99 human friends, much less 99 superhuman friends. She's lying through her teeth, but it works.
She had just said in that episode too, don't take it up with me, take it up with the flag bearer, the big green guy. Showing she has never met these people before. The Avengers? Who?
I'm like, did the MCU even have 99 heroes at that point? This was 2016.
2016 Civil War had come out at this point, so not Civil War. What's the one where Jasper Sitwell, that little shit, talks about the Rubicon or whatever they have that's keeping track of enhanced people?
Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier. So there is a count of people in the world at the very least. I just can't remember the number.
Oh, Jasper Sitwell, our Hispanic Hydra agent.
Found out
our
afterwards.
Hispanic Nazi.
I was like, I can't tell what you are, but I know you're a race traitor somehow, buddy. You're working with the Nazis? Get out.
I think she actually says if you could save him the last dance, roll credits.
Save
ominous.
the last dance for me. Well, people know that song. It's from the
song.
60s. Oh, you didn't know it? Yay.
Well, I know the Michael Bublé cover, which is
he would do a cover of that.
He would.
I don't mean that facetiously. I do like Michael Bublé, but that makes sense. It's by the oh no, who is it by? But they also do Saturday Night at the Movies. Who cares what pictures you see? I'll check later.
Oh, I lost my place.
No, I'll check now. It's gonna get to me. Save the Last Dance. The movie's gonna come up. Yeah, the 2001 movie with Julia Stiles in it.
Save the Last Dance for Me, maybe?
Song. No, it's called Save the Last Dance. I'll just add song. The Drifters. The Drifters Save the Last Dance. Look it up, kids. Excellent.
The
Not like this. Look up the Drifters. Good music from the 60s. Very like doo-wop pop kind of vibe.
Oh, I do enjoy that. People used to clown on Meghan Trainor for that genre, and I was like, listen, when you're as old as I am,
you just want to hear the classics again, even if it's this like white woman who doesn't super get it. It's just like, I did appreciate her bringing that era back. I also appreciate the very small disco era that Dua Lipa was trying to revive. It's a shame that didn't.
Oh, that was fun.
Take hold a bit more.
That was fun.
Yeah, I'm holding out for disco to come back, man. That shit is good.
Nobody ever brings back the 70s. I don't know why. It's always 80s nostalgia, 90s nostalgia. Now we've already 90s nostalgia was like 2 seconds, and now we've already gone into 2000s nostalgia.
It's like, I know socially it wasn't great, but like artistically, there's some stuff we could pull from here.
It's that thing you often see in like kids shows when someone is impersonating like someone on the enemy side and they can't stop complimenting them. One of my favorite ones is in the cartoon Fantastic Four, World's Greatest Heroes, where Dr. Doom switches bodies with Reed Richards and infiltrates the Fantastic Four. Reed, as Doom, tries to go to the Baxter building to like be like, my friends, my family, help me. It's not what you think. Gets attacked and repelled. And they're like, that was weird, right? Why did Dr. Doom come to our front door to speak to us? That doesn't feel like his MO. And then Doom, as Reed, says to Susan, Susan, what you need to understand is Doom thinks on a higher level than the rest of us. Trying to understand his motivations would be like trying to explain particle physics to a fly. And Ben is like, did you just compliment him?
That's always the downfall, right? Is the ego and the hubris. God, have you seen that SNL sketch where Kylo Ren is an undercover boss at his like?
I love that.
So funny. Matt
chilling with the employees,
just being like, is that
not based on a show?
Impressive. Yeah. There's a show called Undercover Bosses.
Yeah,
where bosses of companies go undercover to like see what their employees think of them, and the conceit is that it's supposed to improve employee relations, but the only outcome I can envision of that is a lot of people getting fired.
Yeah,
but that's just me. I don't know. Maybe I'm cynical,
or at least getting bullied at work from that point forward.
Exactly.
If you'd been to Southern Europe, Michael, with your Nordic ass, you'd have seen this is the way sword fighting is developing there.
This is the style. Have you heard of Sirio Forel? Thank you very much. Master swordsman from the southern end of Europe.
Master swordsman from another universe.
Right.
Where Europe doesn't exist.
He's supposed to be Spanish, though, right? That's the joke there. That's why he teaches Arya a dancing style of sword fighting, because he's a Spanish man. Or Italian.
I mean, he's certainly ethnic coded. That's all I'm sure of.
Yeah, he's like Spanish, Italian, Mediterranean. Like, that's the vibe.
Yeah, it gets a bit tricky in A Song of Ice and Fire, because a lot of things are like blended. It's like some people read the Dothraki as indigenous American, and I'm like, well, not entirely. There's other stuff mixed in there as well.
To me, it was like Arab / Mongolian / North African was more of
There's
the
like
region.
a lot, like George R. R. Martin has said, there's a lot that he mixed in there.
Which, you know.
It's mainly only the white people who are a one-to-one comparison,
Right.
which, you know, white author.
That's his own problem, where it's like, oh, you see a lot of distinction between the different flavors of white, but all the pops are interchangeable and mixable. Interesting, George. It sucks for any child of infidelity for that to then hang on them, that you are always the reminder of a decision made long before you were even a thought, of a decision of a parent of yours that has nothing to do with like who you are as a person, but that's just the nature of human emotion, especially when you're a man like Michael, who's never heard of rationality and reason in your life.
Yeah. Speaking of Game of Thrones, very Jon Snow when that was believed to be the truth. It's like, Catelyn hates him, and it's like, I didn't do anything. I didn't cheat on you. I know I'm an embarrassment and I'm an awkward reminder, but it's not me.
But Catelyn's situation is more complex than Michael's, I feel, as a woman in that society.
Yes, that's
and
true.
especially as a noble woman, the way nobility operates in that world. It's just like, Catelyn, I have a bit more grace for.
And I guess the fact that everyone knew the whole time that Jon was her husband's love child, because obviously when it's the man, you're not the one carrying the child. So everyone knows when it's not your wife.
There is a child in your home now, and you were not pregnant at the time. He brings Jon into their home and puts him at a table next to her noble-born children without consulting her, and for the whole world to know that she has been cheated on, essentially shamed as a wife. And it's just like, there's so much that goes into that.
Even in a society where they largely accept that, hey, men cheat, but at least
it's what happens.
Don't bring your love children into the house.
Right. To break bread with your actual, like, noble-born children. It's crazy to do.
And then he turns out to just be her nephew. So.
Right. And it's like, well, all that drama, and it wasn't even your son, you bastard. But I don't know, because I'm dead. Now I'm a stone woman wandering the woods, and I might be an entirely different person.
Zombie Catelyn. Such a shame they left her out of the show.
You know?
Ugh. I love seeing a villain regress in the presence of their eviler parent or their more intimidating parent. One of my favorite scenes is in Game of Thrones when Tywin Lannister calls Tyrion into his study and Cersei's already there. And he's like, so Tyrion, there's some nonsense going on with the Tyrells trying to marry off Sansa to their gay son. We need to find someone else for it. And Cersei's sitting there all smug because she already knows what Tyrion's about to be told. And Tyrion's like, yeah, what is it? And Tywin's like, yeah, you're going to marry her. She's going to be your child bride. And Tyrion's like, unlike a lot of people in this universe, I'm not into that. Yeah. So no thanks. And Cersei's like, ha ha, you have to marry a teenage girl. This is the best news I've gotten all day because I hate you and I love to see you suffer. And then Tywin's like, calm down. You also have to marry someone. You are going to marry that gay son.
Yep.
And Cersei's like, what? Girl, I ain't gonna do that. I'm the queen mother. And Tywin's like, you are gonna do it because I'm telling you to do it. You might be a powerful woman, but you're still the daughter of a man who's me, and I'm telling you to. And she's like, no, I won't do it. I'm not some brood mare. She first becomes defiant and tries to pull rank. She's like, I am the queen mother. You can't just send me off like I'm some maiden to be sold at the market. And then Tywin's like, no, you're my daughter and you'll do what I say. And then she regresses and she's like, Father, please don't make me do it again. And it's like, oh, the flashback to her being forced to marry Robert and the toxic marriage that came from that. She begs her dad. She's like, please don't make me do it again. And he ignores her. And it's like, ooh, for all her evil in that moment, she's suddenly a little girl being like, no.
And there's a lot of it, you know? Even though I hate your goddamn guts and I wish you died in a more gruesome way, that is some sucky shit to go through. Can't imagine.
If your bestie is listening to this, we're sorry, but it's true. He told me a few weeks ago that he actually hates vampire fiction, and I was stunned.
He does not like vampires a bit, which is why I have certainty he will never listen to this podcast.
Pity, but yes, I also wish she died in a more gruesome way. She looked perfectly fine. Buried
Just
under
like-
rubble, looks like she's sleeping in the arms of her lover. I'm like,
Her
what?
stupid Katy Perry Bon Appetit wig snatched in the hands of her twin brother boy, having her little romantic moment with the swelling strings as she gets crushed by one falling stone. I'm just like, after everything she's done, get out of my face.
Oh,
If there's any
gosh.
justice in the world, apparently none.
Not in that world.
Not
We
in
know
that world.
I think maybe when this show was launched, 2009, it was that era where high schoolers having relationships with adults was still a bit more permitted on TV.
It's true.
And then I think as time went on, maybe the writers became a bit conscious of how icky that looked. Because Elena turns 18 at the start of season 3, and we begin our proper Delena journey after that. Caroline turns 18 the very episode that Klaus starts having an interest in her. I see you, CW.
That's
you think you're slick.
slick. That's crazy. Are we mid Ezria at this point? Is that their ship name? Arya and Ezra from Pretty Little Liars? Is that a thing?
It's 2011, so we might be.
Yeah.
As you know, I haven't watched that show.
Pretty Little Liars, that's fair. I think this is around season 1 or season 2 of it. So yeah, we're smack bang.
Gosh, is it not the main ship of the show? I assumed it was like a thing the whole way through.
I guess I only watched 2 seasons, so I honestly don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
and I
okay.
tried to block it out, so I couldn't tell you how central or not they were. I was there for Hannah and what's his name? Caleb? The hacker guy who clips of him will go viral now with him saying the wildest slang that's also kind of queenie, and it's like, ooh, okay. And then the actor turned out to be bisexual, so that was also fun. But there's a line where he's like, your software slays, by the way, and it's like 2010.
Oh, him. I do not know most of these people, but a lot of these actors in this show will end up being or have been in other supernatural shows.
It's true.
We've got Piper from Charmed as Arya's mom.
Yes.
Cole and Rebecca show up at different times playing guest characters.
Yes, she's an Emily love interest, Samara.
Arya's little brother is your least favorite wolf from Teen Wolf.
Theo freaking
Theo
Rakin.
Rakin.
And this is where it started, because he's a little shit in this show. At least he's a child here. He's like 12 or something.
One of the main girlies, the Filipina one, I believe.
Shay Mitchell.
Yes, Shay Mitchell.
Well, Spanish if you asked her, which is wild. But we won't go there.
Let's not. She voiced a Filipina character in the Netflix adaptation of this like cool Buffy-esque comic that is from the Philippines.
Oh, hell yeah.
Called Trese. I think I briefly spoke to you about it once.
Yes, I do
She
remember.
voiced that character.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was cancelled. It was a pity,
Yeah.
but it was nice. I'll read the comics one day.
That's dope. I think you had mentioned it after I mentioned I was listening to a horror fiction podcast that was about a Filipina character who's a babelan.
Ah,
Who's
yes.
someone with a shaman kind of background who does cool magic shit to help people. It's really cool.
Episode 6, Smells Like Teen Spirit. I like that song. Or at least, yeah, I like that song. I like its various covers. It's always a fun time.
I've only heard the one by Rina Soyama, I think, and then just the original.
Rina.
It's crazy that you don't know Rina. I need to get.
No,
you
I
on
know
her.
Rina. I'm just like I don't think that's the cover. I've heard the one I'm most familiar with in terms of the covers is the one that was used in the Black Widow movie as the opening
really
credits
slow
only.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe Rina doesn't
I like
have
that
a
one.
cover. Rina has a Metallica cover, which is Enter the Sandman.
I do know a little about Rina Sawayama though. Has like a casual interest in her.
Okay, that's good. I was honestly so personally like, what have I done wrong? When you were confused by the Oh Me Oh My reference was making, I was like, surely you've heard that song.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I did not.
Crazy. I will put you on that. No, Rina does not have a Smells Like Teen Spirit cover. It must be someone else. But Rina has a Metallica cover of Into the Sandman.
Because like when we meet Nandi, who is completely against expression, she's also been preserving her life.
Yes,
So,
yes.
yeah.
Okay.
Nandi. In
Nandi.
America. I was not expecting. That name sounds so from
It's
here.
a Zulu name. Yeah, it is a Zulu name.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think I mentioned that in the Damon episode. That's why I called her my homegirl. Nandi's a Zulu name.
Nandi.
There are a number of Americans. I mean, Amandla Stenberg, right? Her name is Amandla.
Yeah.
But it's Amandla. A lot of Americans will sometimes choose
Amandla.
African names to
They're not very happy with you right now.
Yeah. Oh God, that whole casting is like, guys, what are we doing? Yoruba land. And this is the cast? All right, guys. Anyway, but yeah, Americans will often pick African names as like an honoring of an ancestry that they are aware of or maybe not aware of. There's also the aspect that like a lot of African American people don't know what their ancestry is. So sometimes it's like an aspirational thing to be like, to try and connect. The one that always stuck in my head, we're in the MCU TV verse today for whatever reason, but in Luke Cage, there's a news anchor who's a recurring character named Tembi Wallace.
Yes, I think I remember this.
What's Alfred Woodard's character's name? Mariah. Mariah speaks to her a number of times as like promo pieces and puff pieces.
A whole Tembi. And it's like,
Yeah. It's like, they said Tembi and I was like, hello? I hear my people, but I don't see my people.
I think Tandy Newton's black parent might actually be from here, though.
Zimbabwean,
Southern
I
Africa.
think, or something close like that, yes.
I think she might be Zimbabwean, yeah.
She very recently started going by her birth
Yes,
name,
Tandiwe, yes.
Tandiwe
Yes.
is in Zulu, at least. I'm not sure if that's exactly the ancestry she has, but it must be proximal.
If she's Zimbabwean, she's probably of Ndebele descent, because that's an Nguni group. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Tandiwe is definitely not a Shona name. In Zimbabwe, you'll find like a lot of like Mbongenis and stuff, and those are usually like the Ndebele people.
Okay.
Klaus takes step into Chicago.
Chicago. It's a city that's exciting. It's a city that's inviting. It's a city for just like me. Then she says there's a lake that they call Michigan, and at the time I didn't know that, well, Illinois and Michigan were proximal, and that the lake Michigan wasn't central to Michigan. It was to its side and bordered like 3 American states.
Oh,
so that
I
is
didn't know
fascinating to them. It's up there in like the Midwest. And I can't remember what the third state is that's also on Lake Michigan. Maybe Ohio? Let me look at the American map that I just closed. You keep going. So it's Illinois, it's Michigan, and it's Wisconsin.
Oh, Wisconsin.
That are the 3 borders of Lake Michigan.
I know Wisconsin for being where Sunny Monroe is from in Sunny with a Chance.
Oh, nice. She seems like the type to be like, oh, I'm the Midwestern girl transplanted to LA for big dreams or whatever. Also, I did not realize, I mean, I do know that the parts of Canada that are like most prominent in media are the ones that are like right next to America, but I did not realize Toronto cuts so deep into, like, you can drive from Detroit to Toronto if you wanted to. That's kind of crazy.
That explains why the accents don't sound as different.
Yes. Wild.
Now I'm thinking of that line from Scott Pilgrim vs. the World when they're chilling with Envy Adams and her band, and they're like, so, do you guys do anything interesting in Toronto? And they're like, no, of course not, it's Toronto. Oh. I was like, all right. That is a metropolis of Earth.
It's like a very
one of our biggest
prominent
cities.
Yeah, all the important cities that you always hear referenced are right on the American border, and that's why they're important, right? You never hear about the, like, what are those provinces called? The Northwest Territories. You don't hear nothing about those. Anyway, enough about North American geography.
Spin-off episode ends. Email us at animalattackpod@gmail.com. Tweet us at animattackpod. That's at ANIM attackpod. Cheers.